Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into an institution that shapes almost all of us, the school. We're going to look at its evolution, which is pretty surprising, dig into its core purpose, and talk about its absolutely critical role in building a more equal future. All right, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with where the word school even comes from. You might be surprised. Then we'll see how the whole idea has changed over time, break down what schools are actually supposed to do, take a hard look at some modern challenges, and wrap up with the school's vital role in gender equality.
So let's start at square one. What exactly is a school? Well, the answer isn't as straightforward as you might think, especially when you find out the origin of the word.
Okay, get this. The word school actually comes from the ancient Greek word skole, which means leisure. That's right, leisure. Originally, it wasn't about sitting in rigid classrooms. It was about the free time that young people in Athens had to hang out, play sports, debate ideas, and just learn from each other. The whole concept was born out of freedom, not force.
Now fast forward a couple thousand years, and you get thinkers like the brilliant philosopher John Dewey. He saw school not as just a place to cram facts, but as this specially designed environment, a kind of mini-world created to help a child develop as a whole person.
And J.S. Ross kind of builds on that, looking at it from a bigger societal angle. He basically says that schools are institutions we, as a society, invented for a very specific purpose, to get the next generation ready to be well-adjusted, productive members of that society.
Okay, so the idea of a school obviously hasn't just stood still. It's actually gone through this huge transformation, moving from what we'd call a traditional model to something much more progressive.
And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you've got the old school, traditional model. It's all about the teacher, the curriculum is rigid, and you're graded on how well you can memorize stuff. But the progressive model, it completely flips the script. The child is at the center, the curriculum is flexible and based on real experiences, and it's all built on understanding how kids actually think and learn.
So this is a pretty good moment to pause and think, right? When you look back at your own time in school, which column do you feel like you were in? Was it more traditional, or did you get to experience some of these progressive ideas?
So, with all this evolution, what are schools actually supposed to be doing for us today? Well, their purpose is huge and has all these different facets. Some are very formal and official, and others are a bit more informal but just as important.
Okay, so officially, the school's job description is massive. I mean, it's expected to build our character, sharpen our minds, and make us adaptable. But it's also supposed to create leaders, pass down our culture, give us job skills, and, oh yeah, turn us into good citizens. No big deal, right?
But you know, that's really only half of it. The informal stuff is just as crucial. We're talking about physical health, learning how to be social through clubs and teams, developing emotional intelligence, and having a space to be creative. This is all the learning that happens outside the textbook. All right, so those are the ideals, but reality can be a bit different. To get a handle on the real-world challenges, our source material gives us a pretty frank look at some of the common problems seen in the Indian school system. And honestly, a lot of these issues pop up all over the world.
And yeah, the source really doesn't pull any punches here. It lists a full 15 different shortcomings in the system. We're not going to go through every single one, but let's just touch on a few of the really big ones.
So, one of the biggest criticisms is this heavy focus on bookish knowledge. Basically, it means the system values memorizing facts from a textbook way more than it values being able to take that knowledge and actually apply it in the real world.
Another huge problem that's pointed out is what's called an unpsychological environment. Now, what does that mean? It means a lot of schools are just dull. They're uninspiring, disorganized, and they fail to create a place that makes you curious or meets the actual psychological needs of a growing kid.
And this might be the most important point of all. You can have the best curriculum in the world, but it doesn't matter if the teachers aren't prepared. A major weakness identified is a serious shortage of well-trained professional teachers, which really holds the whole system back.
So, after looking at the purpose of schools and some of their biggest problems, we land on what is, without a doubt, one of their most important jobs today, being a major force for gender equality. A school can be such a powerful tool for change. And according to our source, getting to equality means taking real, concrete steps. It starts with a simple idea. See students as individuals first, not as boys or girls. It means having them learn and play together, actively fighting against stereotypes, and making sure every opportunity is open to every single kid. And this quote just hits the nail on the head.
It's saying that gender equality isn't some extra credit topic you sprinkle in. No, it's an absolutely fundamental part of developing a child's personality. Without it, their development is literally incomplete.
And so that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. It's one thing to teach equality inside the classroom, but what's the school's role in actually taking apart the stereotypes that kids bring with them from home? Answering that, well, that might be the next great frontier in building a truly equal society.